Hi, my name is Sheila Jenkins, and I am an award specialist, and I will be presenting information regarding the average monthly wage. Our agenda today is what is an average monthly wage? Important factors to know. What's new in the average monthly wage chapter of the seminar manual? Temporary total disability, temporary partial disability calculations, and reasoning for wage solicitations. What is an average monthly wage? The average monthly wage establishes how much the applicant was earning at the time of their injury. A person can only have one average monthly wage per claim. Once the average monthly wage is established and final, it never changes unless directed by a judge. Why is calculating the average monthly wage correctly is important? It is the basis for all payments on the workers' compensation claim. When do you establish wage? On time loss claims, possible time loss, permanent impairment, facial scarring, teeth loss, potential permanent impairment, future surgery scheduled, and light duty that does not fully replace wages. What if you don't have all the information yet? You can issue a notice of claim status checking for A and use the statutory wage of $200. You can use more than $200, but not less than $200. The minimum you can set the average monthly wage at is $200. By statute, the Commission reviews and establishes the average monthly wage on a yearly basis. In 2024, the maximum amount is $5,663.04. In 2023, it is $5,393.37. Please refer to your seminar manual for prior years. What will you do when the employer will not provide wage information? You can go with what you have. For instance, if you have base rate and no other information, you can use base rate. Indicate on the 108 that this is the only information received by the employer. You can also contact the applicant for additional information. How to set temporary average monthly wage. You need to issue a 104 marking 4A. This is an example of how you would issue the 104. Box 1 and 4A is checked. The 104 marking 4B and the 108 are due within 30 days after you issue this notice. Once you receive actual wages from the employer, you would need to issue the 104 marking 4B and provide the 108. This is an example of how the 104 should look when establishing the wage. The 104B is marked with the recommended average monthly wage amount on line 4. This amount should be the same amount that's on the 108. This is an example of the 108. Lines 1 through 9 and 14 should be filled out completely, if not established at the maximum amount for the date of injury year. Line 14 should be the same amount that's on the 104. New in our seminar manual, under the average monthly wage tab, this is an example of how to calculate line 6, base rate, using hourly wages, daily wages, and weekly wages. This is an example of how to calculate line 8 using a full year of earnings and using less than a full year of earnings. Helpful hint: count all the days including the end date, the day before the date of injury. Sometimes the date wheel can be confusing. You can use the timeanddate.com website to get an accurate account of the number of days. Injured worker worked less than 30 days. Wage patterns are needed. If no wage patterns are available, please indicate on the 108 and you can use base rate. Seasonal workers are based on occupation, like ski instructors, Santa Claus. Common errors made are like holiday salespeople, farm workers. If the injured worker works elsewhere during the year, it would not be considered seasonal. Examples of contracts, deducting periods of time, and boarding lodging can be found in the seminar manual under the average monthly wage tab. All covered employment year prior to injury can be considered. Gig economy versus covered employment. Lyft, Uber, Uber Eats, cannot be used as they do not pay into the workers' compensation pool. ICA solicitations. Research. What are we asking for? Confused? Give us a call if you don't understand our solicitation. Reply required. If no reply, it will go through our bad faith process. If you are amending the 108, send a new 104 marking 4B with the corrected amount along with the amended 108. If the 108 has not changed, please indicate in the box under line 13. What do you do when the employer gives you the date of entry and the earnings? You should contact the employer and ask for earnings prior to the date of entry. What do you do when the injured worker has a second job working for themselves? The earnings from his second job cannot be used to determine the average monthly wage as they do not pay into the workers' comp pool. You will proceed as normal. If the applicant has documentation that they pay into the insurance pool, then you can use those earnings. Where on the 108 does tips go? Tips are included in the gross amount. What will you do when the injured worker missed 2 months the year prior to his date of injury for FMLA and was not paid? You can deduct those days because they were off for FMLA. What would you do when the injured worker was hired 3 days before the injury? You can use wage patterns or base rate. If no wage patterns are available, please indicate in the box under line 13 that no wage patterns are available. Issuing the 109 by the Claims Division. This is an example of a 109 issued by the Industrial Commission. The first line is what the carrier recommended based on their 104 marking 4B, and the second line is what the Industrial Commission established the average monthly wage at. Temporary compensation calculations. Temporary total disability is paid every 14 days. When paying temporary total disability, you multiply the average monthly wage by the daily factor, which is 0.021918, and add dependent benefit if it applies to get the daily rate. Temporary partial benefits are paid every 30 days. The formula for the temporary partial disability benefit is the average monthly wage divided by 30.416, which equals the daily amount times the number of days equal compensation minus earnings earned equals applicant's loss of earnings multiplied by 0.6667 equals compensation owed. Helpful hint: always include the ICA case number, the injured worker's name, the last four of the Social Security number, and date of injury. Always complete lines 1 through 9 and 14 unless established at the max, and choose the most representative wage. Do not include the date of injury in wage calculations. Do not include earnings after the date of injury, even if they keep working. Always issue a 104 with 4B every time you issue a new 108. If there is permanent impairment, wage needs to be set even if no time is lost, compensation paid. Earnings from all jobs, employers for 365 days prior to the injury should be reviewed to be included. Remember, the information I went over can be found in your seminar manual under the average monthly wage section. If you have any questions, please call 602-542-4661. Thank you.